Natasha, if you can hear me, would you be willing to start with an introduction and tell me about when you played Lears?
Absolutely. I would just play King Earth and I work at American. Go and go from Indianapolis.
What?
Fencing, darling.
Yeah, a little bit of spotty audio.
Oh no!
Unless it's intentional.
Yeah, it sounds like unless you're messing with it. Like, oh good, everybody else.
Somebody had us through a storm.
No.
Well, you have to say more than no. You have to.
Let's see. My name is still Natasha.
She's our best one. Is it what, 5?
5 is.
5 is normally the best.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try switching the Wi-Fi network. Well, while you were troubleshooting that, should we go down the line?
I wish I could do the interactive.
They're gonna go down the line.
Hello, Matt Davis. I have played Lears twice. And I first of all did it in 2006 at Shakespeare Ensemble, Texas. I decided during the run in the summer. When I was half the age of Lears. And then I did it again 5 or 6 years later here in the 1608 version.
Twice. First in 2008, here at ASC, production. And it's gone better. Son, so I got to have both of them do covers. And then I did another year at a lot of fun too, but it's not bad.
My name is John Williams. I'm playing here in the pool right now.
Let's try this one more time, Natasha.
I'm gonna try to put the camera on first.
Sounded good.
Promising.
Excellent.
So hold off until you get a full sentence. You need a full sentence out of you. Introduce yourself, darling.
My name is Natasha.
Yes,
That
Pat.
works.
I think it's a little better.
It's a little better.
Let's try it with the camera. My name is still Natasha.
Oh, sorry.
It's too bad.
Yeah, it is.
I'm so sorry.
I would be happy to.
Why don't you stay on camera and call somebody's phone?
Just hold it tight.
Yeah, that's true. We are definitely able to see the chat, so.
Excellent. Go ahead. Hi.
That's perfect.
Curious to you.
There we go.
Thing there, we had texting.
Did you really?
Yeah, and texting.
So this feels appropriate.
Yeah.
perhaps.
Can you hear me now? Not very loud, is it?
No.
Damn it, I thought I had a solution, girl. Yeah,
Got it? I'll
Hold
deal
on.
with it.
we'll just go with the chat, I think. Sorry about that. Okay.
All right, Ashley, you're standing by.
I'm standing by.
Your chat now. Awesome. Well, in that case, I will start with a question from Matt and James. Who will speak from there. As you played the role of your also time, what changed for you? Things that right you find it had a few years in between, so what grew, what changed?
Well, for me, I think it was very different. I mean, the challenge, the interesting, the fun challenge there is set in the dark ages. stable, very little is described in the text to indicate any setting. So people said it in all sorts of different places, right? So the first time I was in a mythic British brutal and interesting, with lots of fur, you know. But the second time I did it, I was playing a gangland, British gang. And so, you know, and which is fine, as long as there's a matriarch, right, over some kind of society that's dangerously close and falling apart the edges. Kind of said it anyway, so it usually didn't see it.
So you found that changed, the setting changed to where it was at that time?
Yeah. I mean, really, yeah, I guess, because I think the relationship with the daughter is fundamentally changed.
I didn't, well, I did and didn't, you know, it's a hard thing to talk about, it's as if everything else remained constant and just the character changed. That's not how it works, you know, I mean, I did it here in 2008 with a company that I've been with before. I knew and trusted everybody, hired their work. Daughter was very like. And there was a connectedness, we called it Lear of the Rings, reminiscent of Lord of the Rings, but I think for it and Lear. But I know everyone in this room would know what that was. I don't have to explain it. In South Carolina, I was working with grad students, undergrads, varying degrees of capability and practice. We had a Hungarian director who not very comfortable with me, but out. And it's a very big theater with a proscenium, with an audience far from us, and lots of effects. And it was modernized, so it was about 7, half was at 8, and all that kind of stuff. And here it felt closer to this medieval nature, and it felt it's the Blackfriars, so there was audience contact there. Our director Warren encouraged me to contact that, and that's my favorite thing about working in that space is the fourth wall connectedness there, and add opportunities even out for that. So I played in ways with that I could not have done. That said, I had a great time and enjoyed it, but I felt much more conscious of the production, performance, managing things. So I felt like I was down in
It's interesting that I remember thinking that the first time I played it, yeah, it was all around it, for us as well. But, you know, and I noticed that this must be the only major Shakespeare tragedy here that doesn't have stability. Right, and it was like, well, you don't get to literally, you get to communicate with it, but you don't get to literally go, you know, I'm talking to him. You know, and it's like, and I know thinking, why doesn't even Mark Hansen gets one little sort of maybe about and which is impressive. But it's, you know, it's interesting that somebody doesn't. And I wonder if it's because he didn't yet have the right sort of self-awareness. And then how that would have worked in this space.
It would have been, yeah, it would have been. You're right. It's interesting. But the mad scene on the it all becomes available there when you get inside. So, now one of my favorite things that we discovered in rehearsal and that I was part of places, they would stand up and change places and say Andy, which doesn't. And so suddenly, like, all this thing about guilt and morality, the audience was like, no, you're in this, you know, and that was fun. You know, adultery line too, you know, like what's like, oh, adultery, the guy with Down schools, you know. Every now and then it gets uncomfortable because I thought I was sitting there with his wife one night, and I did that. She looked at me. Oh. You know, I mean, at some point you get it right. Statistics show that. I used to do this other thing with Lenny White at first. I would go over to Down schools and I'd go like that, and then I go the person and say, it smells like mortality. And that's different than my saying it's my mortality. I did it once with 12-year-old kids that the audience was exactly that's what the audience did. They were like, oh, it smells like mortality. And you're like, oh, I'm not saying yeah, no, it's amazing. Fun to explore that stuff.
Well, I'm curious to hear from John in person and from Natasha, yeah, actually. For you, you're playing the role here as a student and as relatively non-conventional aspects of the role. And I'm curious how that affected your process. I know we talked about that a little bit. I'm curious to hear from Natasha as well, what it's like to play the role when you first meet the cast.
Obviously I had like a lot of like self-doubt going into it. So I was like, well, obviously no one's going to believe that I am an old man that is a and you know, and I knew the audience would be forgiving of that because we are a grad program, and so everyone is probably going to be in that age range of like 20s, 30s. But at the same time, I wanted to make sure that I did the role in a responsible way, that I wasn't like making a caricature of, you know, so I worked a lot on the physicality of like Corey clothes, where I didn't want to just like bend over fully at the waist. I some things with my back beyond that. It really helps to have the doubling as clear in, because the way we did it for anyone who hasn't seen it is that instead of including a fully separate character, by the jack color. And so really differentiate like the how between the two.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like that double was a way started from a place that was. Have anything from that? Right. So Natasha says, what an adventure to play a 27-year-old, to play a 27-year-old fed body person. So as I mentioned, the theme was something I was connected to. Lack of family, lack of touch, lack of community. Looking back, as I feel so helpful in the process, and more of that because I can see possibilities now. We're not playing the connecting to the emotion of the character. Yeah.
It's interesting that oh gosh, who was it? Over 4 days. Wrote a book about it. And he did a lot of research on the thing, and he discovered that Burbage was 42 or 44, and in that same season, So it's written for, and you know, even though obviously now relatively, still, I mean, powerful, you know, figure, and so it's sort of interesting to think how, you know, as more as tends to older actors take the role, yeah, how that shifts, how they interpret the first half of the role, because it's written in some ways, I think that travel from 2 to 3, I don't know, whatever it is, I mean, that's the hardest math. I mean, it's just non-stop kind of these little interruptions, you know, just going through the storm. And you know, so that it comes to the point where people go, certainly, you know, you're either, you know, if you're young enough to play the first half, you can't play the second half. You play the second half, you're not strong enough to play the first half. Right, and sort of trying to find that kind of journey through. It's, in other words, it's a challenge for anyone of any age to always find their way at every point through this monster of a role.
I see a parallel there with Beyonce, where you decide what kind of cast, but there is one I'm really curious, talking about the storm, here there's a lot of romantic moments as a Shakespeare play, not that they all don't, but the moment in the storm is probably one of the most. What does it look like as an actor to prepare for a moment acting like that? Is it the same as any other moment, or is it more weighted if you know that it's
I think, depends on how much storm you have. What you had it through. That is like, what exactly, what sound are you orchestrating different, fighting against, what reader is going to have. Shouldn't have to fight against too much. So there's that part of it, and that's not the actor's responsibility. But for myself, vocal care was really proper technique, because you can't keep playing that role. I was doing the rest, so I had a break, but you can't keep doing that role, so I terrible voice. I think there are moments in low winds and crafted cheeks that's huge. This, I don't know, we're talking about it ahead of time, it's the internal storm, really. That's the thing we're looking for, but we also have to, especially like what you have to sell the storm as the storm. But I think we didn't talk about aging here, but moving youth. Let's not think about getting older. Let's think about what are things that are youth. And that was helpful for you. Back things rather than that. Why it was helpful. And but I also think jokes about, you know, we're looking for a prayer because he feels robust, but he's not entirely robust. He's making a very rash decision. Elbow hurting the daughter. It's shitty. And look at God, for example. He's all imperatives. You know, give me the map there, there's the map. You know, that shouldn't happen to you. Shouldn't, you know, that's the God's power. The word and deed are the same. That shouldn't happen. So I think the cracks have to be there early, and then that climb, I would say, becomes easier. There's groundwork laid for the business. Like they go long. House. Long. Later on, he says, shouldn't treat you that way. Treated your old time father. I think he's breaking there. You And I think he almost sees them. Blackfriars could do that. Lears scares them. I don't know what reading. Oh no, that way madness. Shun that. That's madness. I can't go there. So I think that it is a mountain. You know, I mean, like you don't want to say that's grandiose, but to understand the terrain that it has to build. I mean, mountains is a great thing to bring up. Play that role. It's really hard to tune that, especially in that first half. I remember really talented actor do it. He started in a place of great. I could see the vein in his head. And I'm like, I mean, he's going to have to burst that blood vessel. He has to know where it was too early. And I really admired it. I thought it was terrific. I was worried for him. Like, I don't see where you can take this now. You're going to injure yourself, you know? And I thought it was the director's responsibility. Let's pull that back a little bit from that. It's there. So it's always a tricky question, and it's part of the collaboration. And here, after you go with God, and you hope you have a director. Oh, we fell. Come on back. You know, like let's hang on to that for a little bit.
In Cincinnati, big bird, powerful there, and I think he was allowed to go to and water was when we warmed up, got cold and cold. And he just got a terrible migraine, and the fool and I were, as the actors, were genuinely taking care of him. We need to get you to the hospital. Put it down.
I bet his line cuts the brains line. It's
Yeah.
serious.
Come off at the end of the half, and you're holding his head. And you're like, you need to stop this. You mustn't do this. You know, this is, you know. So it's hard. Yeah, you can release too early. Off out.
I have to say, John, I was so impressed that I'm sitting there like, you're kidding. God, to be kidding me. This guy's taking a playing part out of his jacket, and he suddenly has to shift to this other part of what is apparently his consciousness, not a character, which I like that idea because I think, you know, I mean, the English professor said, oh, foolish, really, you know, but I, you know, and I have to say, people like Martin,
We had this conversation
it's
first.
amazing. I know it's amazing because I had Irish parents. And sport the name for the jack, but it was, you know, it was just, I was sort of in awe of the fact that you're going to shift back. Young man, so this old man was breaking down, that's a lot.
Probably touched on it really easy.
Yeah, I mean, like, give it the grief for God's sake.
Talk about directors looking up.
But I mean, it's, and the reason I thought about this too, I really appreciate it because the question that I have one you have all spell ball, and then when he was gone after the trials, I great happening to Bob was supporting me. You were just
Tasha also is talking through about the focus on the score and kind of capability of because it's a Blackfriars show. Very repeatable for extended what that looks like. Whether you're in small scale or in our Blackfriars slot versus doing it at the Blackfriars in grad for our graduation. Want to talk about or
I mean, it's, you know, it's mentioned that the danger is the size, the expected and you think about Donald Wolfe, see what's the kind of sound machine going up, you know, and so it becomes all about the size of the scene rather than the fragrance.
Or is that a part of your process? Or does that come from just kind of your Lear
We
is?
say we find out when we watch it in a performance.
Or are you doing the same with other people there? Does that hey, do you have a sense of
Lydia just chose it first. I don't know. As an actor, I try to stay away from that kind of freak.
Yep.
It's like, you know, you're playing Hamlet and you're not paying attention to the part. You know, I just hope there's nobody in the audience. Because I'm a terrible audience member. I'm awful. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole other thing happening in my head that is not good audience. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not there for you. I'm there with me. And it's like, it's just, you know, like I watched the one last night. And it was a recovery scene. And I stuck on that. You know what I mean? I'm like, who cares? You know, it doesn't matter, but this part of my Keegan brain is like, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I know the flavor. She can say it never. Final scene. Right over it. I was like, then I know some of her presence. But it was interesting, you know.
Okay.
You're not going with Ted?
I'm not going with Ted.
Ted?
I'm not going with Ted.
Nerd central.
So we hope there aren't nerds in the audience, is what you're saying.
No, I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that. This is an actor's. I know the ego comes in. Happening now, and I have to end this in the moment.
Which other people say as well, which is, you know, you've always got to find the positive. Yes, very it is, and you know, and just thinking that even at the end, when you know, practicing dying believing. To me, that's very important because I don't anticipate, you know, and that's the hardest thing. Don't anticipate, you know, what's going to come. So, and in a play like that, where it's so dark, trying to find a way out.
Think of this is my favorite practice. Yeah, apart from that. But I think that you know, I think it's just this beautiful spitting word. I think that because an English professor across the but what's mine is that he was hours. that's what made me love the play. I love it in classroom play so on stage, which is sort of remarkable. But
Did you try all three of those?
I didn't. You know, that's a great question, Noel,
Sure.
and I didn't. I tried both. I would try the Christian one, but I didn't. I did the other two, you know, and the big challenge to me was how do you say all five never so you either run right through, but I don't think so. I don't think there's five there for you not to pay attention to each one. And I think it's revelatory. It's a little mountain in there too. As we said, oh, maybe we better go. But think about that for a second. I will never bathe my grandson. I don't know when the last time is that I will bathe my grandson, but there will be a last time, because he will refuse it. And I love to bathe my grandson, right? And it happened this time at my house. He was 10 years old. He said, I want my Tub Toys now. Went in there, I'm going to take a bath. And you should take a shower, I'm going to take a bath. I want my Tub Toys. And then he said, Nana? He said, maybe I will take the Tub Toys after all. So I took the Tub Toys. And then he didn't want Papa to come up. And then I was going to say, Papa? Come up and play the motor boats with me the way we used to. And then, you know, and it's like, and I thought I was very conscious up there this time. I was like, this maybe was. I took great joy in it, you know, so it's like, we don't know. We don't know. And as never as I think about that, for me it was more the never stroke, kind of like that breakthrough, the final never was like, oh, never. I never can see my father. And how shattering that was. Having lost one of my parents at that time, I felt that really good. But, yeah. I'll go on. Shut me.
Did you have one of those that you play one or the other, like you were going to select one where you all fall in?
I probably go the more realistic way. What I interpreted him is doing in this final scene, all the denials, I think, is him just being in grief. I think like he wants desperately for David to be alive, and that's just not the reality. I think he's sane. I think he's in his right mind at this point because he's been reunited with Cordelia, and so you know what is wrong and right when she dies. And you know,
Yes, you were looking at him. You did not look at yourself. You were like that. You weren't going to look. You were lying. Is that right? I'm right. Right. You were lying on the floor, looking up, not at the orange. That's how I see.
Sleeping down before that.
I stare right. I mean, I've done it where if you've got delusional and Christian, I'm not sure. So I played it both times that in that moment, I believe there was a chance to play out.
Natasha talked about finding expectations with athletic design. She said, I really keep focusing on the work of blocking out the noise and expectations. It's enough to memorize within those 3 hours. And the director that will be creative will not class productions of expectations, but the reason to use sort of because something's never doing the same. Yeah, that's great. I have one more question for you all. We don't have any audience questions, so I'll open it up. But my question is, what has playing the role of leader taught you either professionally or personally? Is there something that you took away from this role that affected your process as you move forward as an actor? I guess, what are you taking from it? As you're playing it now? And then, is there anything that taught you something about your own life? Is there something that is special to you about the role of leader that you feel like you learned? For good or bad?
Yes.
I'm not
I'm thinking about mortality.
For me, it's at least every third call.
Wipe your hand off on John and say,
I think it's one of those plays that really makes you value the people that you have. And it could all go away so quickly. So that just personally, that was something that I thought about. I thought about my relationship with my parents a lot. Yesterday, right before the play, my mom texted a group chat and told me that she had just lost her pregnancy. And so, I mean, even just that moment helps me see where Lears, he's at this point in his life, he's probably lost so many people already. And so, of course, he's not going to be the happiest person. I mean, he's experienced so much loss already, and then, maybe he's not in his right mind. He asks his daughters if they love him, right? I think a lot of people feel that, but I can see it kind of gives me just a window into the character, because you understand that he's lost so much already, and he doesn't want to lose more, and it feels throughout the play like he's just losing. Yeah, that's personally. what I've learned personally. And then professionally, it was such an ensemble-based show. And I didn't build Lears on my own. I built it with the directors, the actors, and Doreen helped a lot, Matt helped a lot, the physicality, his acting, advice. And so, professionally, I think sometimes we think that everything role is our job, but it's also the job of our castmates and our directors to help us build that character.
That's a good question. I guess professionally, maybe once again, I'm just so grateful. First time I did it, to be a part of the company I was part of. Because everybody's so good. And their collaboration is so generous and valued. I feel that the values people around you make the Lears as much as you make your deal. They help to build it, who they are, and they believe others. Sarah found other things are stronger. And I always say, I always say, people, that's what really we were just, present. That's so present. Everybody in my culture is so present. And I had an able to do this captain, which is marvelous. John. So it's just, and I was grateful to be doing it in rep, not least to get the break from it, but then, like the next performance, I was Toby Belch, and I was keep on, and so it was nice. It was also great for the kind of Blackfriars rep moments that you get where you go, because any here known, this is not weird. So when I say that in a rep theater, then it's richer, there's something different to it, because I won't be in the next performance. And there's just sort of fun stuff like that professionally that's what appreciated and realize very few people get to experience this. And I get to have it, and it's pretty stupendous. Personally, the play is so important. There's so much discovery during the both conference. But I think the moment that stays with me most, I call my mom frequently after doing it, and she wasn't always the easiest person to talk to, but she's like, still doing that acting. Pretty sensitive. But it makes you, it doesn't make you listen and appreciate it. But I think that when they did that, just was sort of the vital elements, feels, how should the house be set, and the size of the people you look at, defend you from seasons such as these. Oh, I think it's really characters. And that's the breakthrough moment. That's the moment of compassion. Yeah, it's the breakthrough in compassion. It's like I've been thinking about myself, I've been focused on myself, and all the things that I have. 100 nights, 50 nights, 25 nights. Where's going to give me the most nights I owed you? you know, kind of thing, and it's so materialistic and content-based, and it breaks through the quality of it, and he realizes, and I think it's so amazing to hear that again in this current climate that we're in, you know, thinking about this, and being passionate for those who are in need and that kind of thing. You know, I just, and then from there on, everything he says is so full of breakthrough and so full of revelation, you know, about authority, about, you know, we can cry and give, you know, first it's no little wall at a time, you know, come to this great stage of fluence, you know, there's so much revelation in that, and then, oh, you are a man of stones, your tongues are not like sort of like this fellowship of God. It's like, man, that's just the big message of it, is just this big compassion, so personally it means there for me, I think that's the thing that the rich collection will play, challenges itself and then walk away from it. And that, you know, I mean, they use the final bubble couplet as the opening line in the players of this production, which I was really interesting to highlight. But it's a devastating moment at the end of the play. It's not very satisfying. You know, Hager says, people we feel not only ought to say, but yeah, okay, the oldest have borne you most. We that are young should never see so much and live so long. Okay? You know, like, it's not like, come here, I'll comfort you and hug you. It's not at all like that. So it's like you do get this, and that's why I find it challenging. It's like this breakthrough. It's like, it's up to you. You know, you're going to have compassion because the world's going to change. This is our choice. The guy who's going to commit suicide to go with his master, with this kid, you know, who has learned a lot, granted, but, you know, still kind of a kid.
I don't know. I mean, I think I was I did this at the A level, so at 18 I was studying this point, and probably didn't really understand. I studied it, and then when I went to Austin, we studied some Quaker, and I'm really glad I did. We did it just before, the course before, and I'm like, this gives me the window into this crowd because that's something like I said. King David is the basis of it. And then Box was great work. That's brilliant. King David, whatever, the essay, the great essays of all time, and for me, it's that it's the humanity comes. No, I still think it's a nihilistic play. I personally do. That's my reading of it. It's an anti-Christian play. I think, but its humanity lies. You know, is where the heart is, where the salvation is. And the humanity comes from the common, which I find is relatively kindness. And the funniness doesn't necessarily come from the fool. The fool's can be one of the most tragic characters. But I mean, as I saw as a shirt before he was and you know, there was this extraordinary kind of sad face. I mean, it was wretched, right? But then when you got to
Okay, yeah.
Not a great production, but he was extraordinary. And then, all I remember is there was up on a platform when I kind of find this but then, you know, when they're in the kind of, when he's in 4/6 or 7 whatever it is, and with Gloucester, I think that's, to me, one of the funniest, in some ways, most charming scenes. And then when he sort of said, you know, because he kind of is unbelievable, right, and his crown was of flowers. And then when he says, you know, and it just comes out of nowhere. And that's why I was like, don't show it. So, and then later, you know, for a moment he knows. And for me, it was the comedy of falling. That's total bucket, right? Fall over, bang. And just wait. You know, it's just like, that's the absurdity of life. And so for me, that's what I learned about that. And then, and definitely in terms of an actor, it's a part that, you know, if you're the Scottish king, you're probably, you're in a different journey, right? But on this one, as Lear, you are totally supported by everyone. You're in a wrestler who is supported by every character, which they are trying in their own ways to get you through this night. And I think that's what we does. And you totally rely on that. Particularly that, all right, just take it. All right. I have no idea why. Okay, I love that. Sense of self-business.
The reason I wasn't looking at Cordelia is, for me, I've been playing it as in I'm trying to get Kent to make Cordelia. I don't know, the way I've seen it is just that he thinks that she's dead, but he's trying to get her not to be, and so he's using the people that he knows are alive to help to change that.
Natasha said in terms of what she's doing for her is that team matters, the two roles are so much less about you and so much more about the role of the story home. And I can't stress enough how much this has taught me about family and family like that. We've got like 4 minutes. If anyone has a last question they want to lob in 4 minutes. That's right.
So this role is like a titan, it's truly iconic. And you're all kind of embedded in the scholarly end of things. What have you found is the balance between the scholarship of Lear and the boots on the ground work of
You got 4 minutes right now? What are we going to do with the other 3.5? Well, I mean, for me, they're not separable. You know what I mean? Like, a good actor takes things from everywhere. So I think, we're talking about Lear as anything, right? I mean, the essay mattered. You know, and the other productions you see matter, so I don't know how to suss that out. You know, I think that when I walk into a rehearsal room, I'm not going, how did that actually go on Todd's essay? You know, I mean, I'm not doing that. I'm not asking how many children Lady Macbeth had or anything like that. You know, I'm just trying to be there in what works on this character as a being in this moment. Drawing on whatever is in me so that I can do my abilities and help and trust other people to guide me with that, because I don't, I don't need a 2-year-old now. Thereabouts. So I don't know, it's a hard question. That's the best I can do.
Leave it just very briefly say Choose Stages weird. For me, was a revelation on this one. In that, particularly American one, where it was the name takes happy version, until the Second World War. Right? Because, and I'm like, why? Why was it not a sex to do with this? Why was that not? And I think it was because it was like, but that it has to have hope. And you're like, so we'll do that version. So I found that really interesting. And, yes, I think, and then the fact that it was the play, I think, it became the great tragedy of the second half of the 20th century, after the Second World War and after the camps and after the extermination. It suddenly became the play that was speaking to the second half of the 20th century. So sociologically, I think it's been interesting, as opposed to reading.
I always feel like name tape focus group. You know what I mean? Secondly, we'll never do it.
I've seen it. It's great. What did you do for your audio? What did you read, John?
I was, as I mentioned before, I was really scared about playing this role, so I did so much research. I researched a lot on madness in the early modern period. I researched a lot on the period in which we set it, which was 1930s in Appalachia. And so I was looking up all this stuff about the Great Depression and trying to justify dramaturgically setting it in 1930s Appalachia, what are the mistakes and everything. And when we started in rehearsal, I had all this research, and then we started rehearsing, and I was like, well, how do I use this? I can't use this. And so, I did all the Declan Donald stuff, and I was like, oh, this is really helpful. And then afterwards, when I started writing my thesis, which was on Lear, I was like, oh, I was using all those things, just not necessarily in the way that I thought I would. So, one of the things that I learned was Dr. Susan Anderson was my thesis advisor, and if you attended her Friday night on, she talked a little bit about this, was that one of the things that early moderns thought about madness was that it was a curable thing. Like they didn't have the concept of chronic mental illness. And so, you know, that helped me like come to my conclusion, or my interpretation, that Lear is sane again in the play. It completely changes how you play that, because if he's insane at the end of the play, then what are the stakes? What is real for him? What does he know? Like, what information does he actually have? You know, all these different things. And so it really did change the way that I interpreted the role. But, you know, yeah, so I did a ton of research. And at first I didn't think that it was like super useful. And later on I was like, oh wow, really did that.